I never watch myself.
Okay, tell me what to do.
Just you can either opt in or opt out with the headphones. I normally do opt in because then you really feel like you're on the radio. 1, 2, 3. It's a totally different story.
Hello?
Yes,
Hey, is this thing on?
it is working. It is working, up and running. I've been changing some things around. I think even this. Normally, I used to have this big ass light here that was very cold, very blue. It gave me a sort of like a hospital vibe.
But
So
you can set the light to be warmer, no?
that one, no. That one is only 5600, and actually I screwed up when buying it. So anyway, this is. I think it's okay. It's cool, and especially gives some texture because it's daytime and everything looks better in the daytime. The only thing
Quality is really good.
quality is much better
Nice.
compared to the last time.
And also last time there was no I don't remember there being a screen or anything like that.
No, I'm very happy that you forgot about the other time. Just for context, because I'm already rolling it. So
Into the future.
into the future. No, so there was a podcast in the past, in those times that everyone forgot, called Cool People, and you were the second person that I was inspired to invite. I think it was the second, wasn't
I
it?
think so.
Yeah. I still keep the mics that I used in that podcast because it's actually a very nice on-the-go equipment, and the video was recorded with iPhones, with very old. Like we had a 6, an 8, and an 11 iPhone. It was like a collection of them. And to be frank, all of this equipment doesn't make it easier, and doesn't make it that much better. It's just, I mean, you are cool people, so you could come and do it with iPhones. I expect to invite fancy people into the future that maybe wouldn't do it with iPhones. So I said I might as well just learn how to do things like this. And then, I just put it on the walls. It's easy. I just come here 15 minutes before, turn it on, and we sit down, and that's it.
iPhones
Turn
are
this
very
on.
good though.
Yeah, it's okay.
These days, the iPhone 15, it's
Yeah, it's the
incredible.
best.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it is very stupid why people still buy these cameras. But again, looks are important.
Yes, totally.
Even though
So
maybe
that's why you're gonna put this painting up.
yeah, it will cost me my divorce maybe.
I mean, didn't I get rid of this painting from my own house? I saved myself from it.
do you want to recognize that in camera?
No, let's not talk about it.
No, the only thing I want to ask you is try to be intimate with the mic. You
with
can
the microphone.
yeah, you can pull it to yourself.
Hello.
I think you can actually see the difference, feel the difference in sound.
I don't know if I can hear.
You cannot hear yourself?
Hello.
No?
No, I don't think so. Maybe. Hello. Ooh. Ah. Okay.
Now you get it?
Now I can hear
Now
you and myself.
Ah, okay. Then,
Okay.
you were thinking all of this
I
time.
was like, whoa.
This is very weird. Why is this Fernando?
Maybe it's just for show.
No.
You're saying looks is important.
No, nothing is for sure. Everything is getting, I think, at least in my life, more meaningful and more meaningful. I think it's because as I grow old, I'm actually making peace with the fact that I will never look as handsome as I did 10 years before. Everything is going worse. So now I need to find the purpose of life in meaning instead of aesthetics.
No. I totally disagree. Because isn't it that men age like fine wines, and it's the women we deteriorate. Where men, like, a silver fox, very handsome. Men get more handsome as they get older, where unfortunately it's not the same for ladies. So we got to seek out,
I hope you're right. the problem is that it depends a lot on what life you live. If you do for many days the life that I've done today, I'm not gonna get any handsomer, I tell you. I think it's all about how well you take care of yourself, and I think if you are responsible with your body and your mind, women look fantastic until they are Nowadays, I think 60 is a new 45, really, frankly. And 40 looks like 30, and you don't want to look younger than 30, so anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. I'm listening a lot these days to like Andrew Huberman podcast, which is a lot about taking care of your brain,
Yes.
being more healthy, being intentional, this whole movement around like meditation, sleeping well. Dr. Matthew Walker, he's the sleep scientist.
Yep.
I love this man.
In fact, you catch me. So you're preaching a message that I completely believe, but I lost my way recently, and I don't know. The thing is this: I don't know how. I don't know. At one point, like things got out of hand. I started sleeping bad again. When you sleep bad, the mood changes. You eat like everything. You're like kind of in a hurry. So yeah, I don't know. I think
it's the travel.
It never changes. It never changes.
Mm-hmm.
I have discovered one extra thing that made travel more easy, which is hydrating pills. And I thought that was bullshit when I saw it. All of these YouTubers sponsored by companies. I said, of course you're getting paid. Of course you're gonna say that. But I was in Australia, and I was waiting for an Uber, and there was a supermarket, and I said, I'm gonna go get chewing gum. And like 2 meters from the chewing gum, I saw hydration pills, and they had a very neat sign of an airplane. And I said, okay, maybe it doesn't hurt to actually try. So I bought them, and it was life-changing.
In what sense? Like what?
So I realized, and I had this illumination that made me feel very stupid, because I said, why didn't I think about it 11 years ago when I started doing this life? But anyway, it's well if it ends well. So when you travel, apart from changing the circadian rhythm, eating outside, which means probably eating dirty because the oils are not so clean, the ingredients are a little bit too rich, and so on and so forth, you are always exposed to constant compression, decompression, dehydration, on and on again. The atmosphere inside an aircraft is extremely dry. I'm sure you've noticed how the skin gets. Even I never get dandruff outside of an airplane. When I fly, I suddenly start having like white things on my beard.
It's also stressful for your body, like your endocrine system, right?
Yeah.
And some people even like your gut can get affected too, because it's like if something gets pressurized, like if your gut's like a balloon. So yeah,
correct. So yeah, exactly. So when you do it often, you kind of get very tired. And then I have been probably guilty of not resting when I had to, because I believe that this podcast, which is in the Genesis phase, has, even though now we have only 127 lovely subscribers.
Oh, cute!
But
congrats.
but I mean, I'm not gonna make anything significant with these lovely 127 people. So it's one of those things that you need to put effort on, and I cannot do it in work hours. So I've been working on the weekends. I've been doing a lot of stuff. So all of these 3 months or 75 days of dry that I did, I felt like I didn't extract all of the cleansiness. I don't know if that word exists, but you're gonna help me today. Yeah, that purifying process was not as effective as it had to be. So now I'm fucked, because yesterday I slept 2 hours and a half. I have things that I cannot say on camera. That I'll tell you later. So certain worries, opportunities that have you excited before you go to bed and wake you up in the middle of the night, and then you cannot go back to sleep. And yeah, I was in Korea, I mean, yesterday night was -2. It's difficult to believe, because here we are like at 27 degrees today. But
Whoa.
yeah, so it was like a big change. So anyway, I want to get back to, I will get back to that life. The important thing is to never give up. Annika, the other podcast was called Cool People, as I said. This is called The Last Meeting of the Week, because this is I publish it at the same time that as if this was my last meeting of the week, and it's the meeting in which I bring people that either come from the creative realm of life, which you do, or that are just plainly cool and awesome to talk to, which you are. So like it was like kind of like a, if I didn't invite you before, was because I was like,
I already interviewed her.
I mean, she already came, and she's gonna think I'm a little bit too ambitious. But I wanted to talk to you because I think a lot of things have been going on in your life, in your profession, and I believe that this conversation, what you do in life, interests a lot of people.
Yeah.
Especially people that design either buildings, objects, products, because those things define the way we live in the future, no? So I wrote here, start with the fact about the fashion industry. I wanted to take a piece of news, but I started looking at Unspun Instagram page, and I found something that was...
I can give you all the facts.
I know, no, please. But there is one that blew my mind. That is 2,150 pieces of clothing is being thrown away in the US every second.
Yeah.
Now, I said to myself, I did the math, as you can see here. I was like, it's like
WTF.
yeah. No, it's like, okay, hold on a second. Let's just do some multiplications. So that adds up to 186, rounding up, million pieces of clothing thrown away every day.
Yeah.
That means that just to put it in context, every American throws away one piece of clothing every couple of days. That's like 180 pieces of clothing every year. Like, again, WTF. How can this be true?
So, I guess the metric there about throwing clothes away is not only, okay, I own clothing and I'm throwing it away. One of the other issues that plague the fashion industry is unsold inventory. The statistics are all over the place. Recently, a study came out by the European Environment Agency. They said 21% of all clothes ever made, it doesn't reach a customer ever. And those then end up either as being recycled, which means that you need to destroy it, it goes to landfill, or it gets incinerated. But obviously it's not equal across all different brands. It's not even equal across country to country. So some estimates are even as wild as like 40% of all clothes are unsold. So why do we produce so much to begin with? I think this is where this number comes from. It's not necessarily only the person who's like, oh, I'm done with this item of clothing, I'm throwing it away. It's that the brands and the retailers produce so much that they have to throw. They can't sell things. They can't sell things when it's not in season. If it's they've already gone through markdowns. Now this isn't trendy anymore. So it's like a liability, this dead stock, and it's better for them to just get rid of it or ship it to Africa. Or Chile. Yeah.
Or Chile.
Yeah, they're two main places. I mean, there have been some articles recently that come out. So these clothes that get discarded because of overproduction and because of fast fashion too, that, when something is, you buy it for cheap, you don't value it as much as, like, I don't know, a leather coat that your mom used to wear and like gave that to you, and you like treasure it. You're not going to throw it away. But if I'm buying, a skirt for $50 at H&M, 50 HKDs at H&M, I don't value it as much. So I might be like, oh, after a season, I'm done wearing it, and then I discard it. So going back to Chile and Africa, a lot of the clothing that then gets discarded. So you think about the life cycle of your clothes. You buy it, you wear it. Okay, now you want to get rid of it. You send it to either like Goodwill or you donate it. The Goodwill will then hold that clothing. They'll try and sell it for a couple of months. But if it doesn't sell, or they don't want to keep it in their locations. They will pack them into these bales. These bales then get shipped to places like Accra in Ghana, and the Atacama Desert in Chile, where they then get put into these massive landfills that are now so big, because if you think about how many, the metric you just gave, how many clothes get discarded every second, every minute, every day, these landfills of clothes can be seen from space.
Yeah, just to let's say scale up, because I said 186 million per day. That, for those of you who don't have a calculator at hand, that's 68 billion pieces of clothing every year.
Yeah.
So imagine in 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
People are not conscious about these type of things. That's why I believe that apart from all of the super technology that you have been developing, and I want to get into that later, just trying to pass on this message is super important. I don't understand when. Let me explain from my point of view. When I buy something and I don't use it, I feel somehow dirty. It's like, I don't know, like I worked hours for this and it's just sitting there. Someone made it and it's just sitting there. What's the purpose of it? And it's like, I cannot stand the thought. I like to buy things, but the real satisfaction, normally when you buy things, you have people talk about the satisfaction of actually acquiring the object. Then I have a second satisfaction, which is when I break it through wear and tear. When, like, literally this week I was in Korea and I swear to God, I was actually walking on the street. I reached my back pocket and I noticed I had a crack on my butt. Not in the middle, like in the middle of my cheek, because I had been using those pants so much that it just broke.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel ashamed. I felt happy, because it's like, okay, the purpose of these pants what has been fulfilled, and they die here in Korea, finish, and I left them there in my hotel room.
How long did you have them for?
They lasted like 5 or 6 years.
Okay, that's not so bad, but that's if we're talking about being sustainable in the
I
fashion
know
industry.
it's not, yeah.
That no, not that it's not, but that like durability is also plays a big aspect in it. Durability and repairability, and actually the European Union is going to start mandating like bigger brands and retailers that they offer repair services on the items that they sell, because they want people to keep the clothes in the loop, like in use for longer periods of time.
It does make sense, and I think it's something that probably collective ethics will push us towards that. That, let's say 6 years ago, it's not like I'm rich, but now I can afford a different type of pant, even though I either stop using because I get fat or I break them. Then we talk about Levi's, because my Levi's always break in the same fucking point. Ooh. Which means that you are doing something wrong over and over. No, so I mean, for me, this is nowadays. I feel happy when I open my wardrobe and I have my set of things that I'm like, is Fernando's clothing. So it goes against this general trend of just having to change everything all the time. Yeah. Maybe, I don't know, maybe our attention span is short. We go from quick dopamine hits constantly, and that's how things are. Can
I tell you my opinion? That something that I think is happening that's pushing these fast fashion brands like to, Shein has, I think now, Shein and Temu outsold like Inditex as the biggest retailers. Like, they're moving so fast, like they're growing so fast, and I often ask myself the question, like, but why? Like, who are these people that are buying these things? And maybe, I don't know, I live in a sustainable fashion bubble and need to get the word out there, but like, fast fashion is bad because it's causing all of this overproduction. And I don't think that maybe Shein as their business model is necessarily bad, but they are pushing so much product onto people, product that's probably not high quality, it's not going to last a long time, and therefore it's adding to the problem. But then I read in an article that I was like, it must be like the youth that's buying from Shein. But actually, their like median customer is a 35-year-old woman. So it's
my generation.
It's very interesting. I mean, it's our age group, it's our demographic. And then, I mean, thinking about like, but why? Because this age group is definitely, I mean, an age group that we've grown up like with, it was the generation before us that's created all this industrialization, capitalism, grow. And that's why we're in the mess that we're in. Why are we doing this? And I wonder if it has to do with like the fact that things cost so much now. And like, instead of like us being able to spend money on a house and like a nice car, we need to fill that gap because we do have disposable income. But there's like this, I don't know, psychological aspect to it. I think, I don't know.
I could agree with you. I would have to check.
Well, obviously not you.
No. But I mean, I totally get it, and I'm guilty of, let's say, buying cheap things, but I make them last long. They start on my wardrobe or on you know, fancy dinner, and then they end up being gym clothes. But they go through all of my cycle. No, might be just that society became more consumist. That's it.
Trends.
Like I remember like you said, now things became so expensive, like housing and everything. I think that they have been always expensive. Just before, I don't know your parents, but mine were very frugal people, and I remember my dad buying shirts once every 4 years.
Yep.
And you know, they saved money. They didn't go out to restaurants every week. Not even close. It was maybe once every 3-4 months.
That's true.
So I think now we just live a different life, that because we have access to the behind the scenes of super glamorous stars, like actors and rock and rollers and athletes, that they share everything that they do. Now we believe we need to change our clothes every day. Can I say something that irritates me a lot? You know, in Spain we have a monarchy, and whenever the queen is an amazing, super elegant lady from my city, and I love her, and you know, go the queen. When she repeats outfit, and I'm saying maybe once every couple of years, she makes the news. And I'm like, we have a very big freaking problem if we have to comment on that at so many levels. But even, let's say, she should be praised.
Wow.
But normally they say it like in a sort of like a bitchy way, you know? I'm like, I think she should actually be applauded. It's like, you know, there's a normal lady that out of her 3,000 dresses, maybe I'm probably short on the number, she decides that, you know, she doesn't need 3,001. Yeah, the mentality is wrong, but unfortunately changing the mentality as a whole or convincing the big clothing groups to change is not very effective. How can we change? And this is a big open question that I throw to you.
Okay, so there are many things that we can do. If I mean, now we're speaking about overproduction specifically. How do we stop overproducing, producing too much clothes? One way, and that's something that I work for, a company called Unspan, by the way. We're a US-based fashion tech company. And not saying we have all the answers, but definitely a piece of the puzzle. We are proposing on-demand production model that's also localized, so producing in the US, in Europe, in the Euromed area, even in Asia, but just the idea is that the clothes that get purchased get made closer to the customer. Because if you do that, you can more easily manage your inventory levels because you don't have these 18-month-long lead times. I always think about it this way, like the fashion supply chain is so complex, and that's why it's so hard to change it. How a pair of jeans is made, or a pair of jeans is made these days, or just in one specific scenario, because the US grows cotton, right? But the US textile industry it died. Hopefully now it's starting to revive again, with push from legislation and all of those things, investment. But a pair of cotton is grown, say, in North Carolina, but then the US doesn't have the facilities to process that cotton. So then they ship it to China to get spun into slivers. But then the companies don't want to buy like any like cotton, say, that's like made in China. There's some forced labor issues, etc. So that cotton would get exported to India, get woven into fabric, but then in Bangladesh is the cheapest labor, so then it will go to Bangladesh, and then there it will get sewn into a product, shipped back to the US, and then sold to the US market.
Wow.
So can you just think, like, not even on, just in terms of like the logistics, the
Fuel.
shipment, how can you, it's so messed up. There's so many steps of the supply chain, and in those steps, like, not even getting into labor, but everyone needs to get paid. Like, it's hands, it's people that are working on these products, and then you want to buy your pair of jeans for $30 from a retailer.
Sure. I'm just seeing so many levels of wrong things.
Yes.
Number one, people think that they're avoiding slave labor because they don't do it in Xinjiang, but they do it in India, which is very questionable. Then, of course, the fact that you spend fuel just taking those pieces everywhere.
A lot of carbon emissions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, well, look, I'm a capitalist. I have a weird point of view. So I would even be okay with people having low wages, as long as maybe because sometimes they don't have other options as those low wages. But there are people that don't believe in low wages, and they just close their eyes and ignore the fact that the Levi's they have are probably follow that cycle that you described. Wow.
Yeah.
So that's normally the way it goes.
That's normally the way it goes for. I mean, obviously the cotton is grown everywhere, like production happens everywhere, but that's just one stark like global supply chain. So coming back to Unspun, what we are trying to do is basically automate and localize these supply chains so that it doesn't have to be that complicated. And how we're going to do that is by 3D weaving. So 3D weaving is the thing that we have built.
3D weaving is the thing, but before to get to 3D weaving, I don't want to cut you, but before you were doing something different.
Yes.
Before you were doing the let's say the custom fit, which was how I encountered Unspun. What you were doing when we did the podcast 3 years ago.
Okay, so anyways, the 3D weaving and the custom fit jeans, they fit together. Sorry, I was talking about on-demand production. So in order to reduce waste from the supply chains, we believe that you need to produce on demand. So that means you're going to produce close to your customer, and you're going to produce only after the customer has ordered. So you operate on kind of a zero finished goods inventory business model, which is going to be good for the business. And it's obviously just, you can still sell goods, but you just produce them as they come in. Another issue, and I'm going to come back to the jeans, but so that's the first problem, is the overproduction. Then another issue is the fit. So people buy goods online now and they send them back. Because they don't fit. About a fifth of all products that are purchased online are returned.
1/5.
Yeah, 1/5 of all products returned online, and we can put the research in your notes if anyone wants to go and read or fact check.
If you have them, absolutely yes.
I have them. Yes. I have them. So
link in the description.
Link in the description. European Environment Agency. So a fifth of all products bought online are returned due to poor fit, mostly poor fit. About 70% is due to poor fit. And then of that fifth that's returned, because it costs, if you think about how complex the supply chain life cycle is, it costs the companies up to 75% of the product's value to put it back into the system. So what are they going to do?
They throw it away.
Yeah, they say like recycling, but if you take a product that's unused and you send it to be shredded and made into a new product, like you're destroying it, right? Like you're using resources for like anyway, it's messed up. So a percentage of those returned items, about a third, so it's obviously brands don't want to disclose the numbers, but it's between 22% to 43% of all the returned items are destroyed, landfilled, incinerated, or recycled. I mean, really, like, this is the clothes that we wear.
No, but I just realized I'm very old. I only returned one time one thing, and they were they no. I look, honestly, I'm not virtue signaling. I know it can be hideous, and it's not. I'm just literally, in awe of what you're saying. I was trying to buy one pair of the shoes. I think Guido has them. The Nike shoes, the general purpose shoes.
Yeah.
So exactly. I tried to buy them in any way, shape, or form. I finally got a hands on a pair with a decent price. I got them here. They were one number, and I was heartbroken. And that was the only time I gave them back. But I'm too lazy to give people. People are so proactive. Like, you need to pack everything, call the guy, wait for him. It's like, I don't know. I thought that people would just buy go to the shop, try things, take a picture of the size, and then buy it online. But they don't. They just buy and return.
E-commerce has boomed. I think e-commerce, I don't know what the numbers are, but pre-COVID, it was like, okay, e-commerce is growing. But obviously then during COVID, everyone's locked down, everyone's at home. What do? They online shop. So it like exponentially grew. I don't know. Anyway, how it went like way faster than expected. Going back to like the proposal for what I think we should be doing to try and curb these issues that the fashion industry is facing. If you're thinking about on-demand production to solve the overproduction issue, and then this fit issue is like, can we produce the clothing to fit the people?
Okay.
Because first of all, like, sizing is not inclusive right now. Like, you're saying you're like small, medium, large, extra large. Like, we all have different body shapes.
Yep.
So now, obviously, for like looser fit garments and like super stretchy items, this could be okay. But for denim, which is such a culturally important garment, and yet it's notoriously bad to fit, and it's also very wasteful to produce because you're using water, like thirsty resources. You're using cotton, you're using indigo dyes, like a lot of chemicals, a lot of processing. It's not a normal type of garment. So can
plus
we
airjet loom machines, because I even read
what's an airjet loom machine?
I went on YouTube. I went on YouTube because I was reading the vlog, and I said this, and like, I don't understand anything. What is this? So I went to YouTube, and YouTube is like, I don't know. We live in paradise, guys. There is just an explanation and a video for everything. So airjet loom, I don't know how to say in English. Like the process of just threading the horizontal threads.
Weaving.
Weaving. My English is bad, especially after a long trip. So normally you do it by hand, and then in the old machines you do it by hand, and then you pull that wooden thingy, and then you compress, and that's how you, with a lot of patience, you get one piece of fabric. No.
Yeah.
So the airjet loom actually is a super cool invention. It just airjets the thread. But it uses a lot of energy, so that is not cool.
Yeah, so it's like we live in that world, like bigger, better, faster, more, let's make things more efficient. So yeah, at the time, airjet loom is amazing, makes high quality fabric, it's really, really fast, but it does use a lot of energy. And is it propping up the system of like, we have to produce at least 5,000 or 30,000 yards of this fabric because the system is just so complicated. Anyway, so we started with, can we make custom fit jeans on demand? And then we started developing the technology for that, which the process is that someone would download an iPhone app. You'd spin around in front of the camera. The software would then generate an avatar of your body. We would then extract the measurements, and you can design choose which jeans you want. You want them skinny, straight fit, wide leg, etc. The fit, the color, the fabric, or the wash color, the thread color, high waist, low waist, and then those patterns would get made, the custom fit to you. We'll send those to our partner factories and workshops, and then within 2 weeks they'll get sent to you, and then it's jeans with your name on them. And obviously it's not perfect. We do have some returns. Something can always go wrong with technology, or someone expected something different, blah blah blah, but you can minimize your return rate from like 50% to 10%.
That's very nice.
Yeah.
So and I think 2 weeks is reasonable, and it even gives that special element of having to wait for something. So nowadays you're obviously based in Hong Kong, and one of your co-founders is from Hong Kong.
Yes.
And then the main company is in California, correct?
Yes.
So how does the operation divide between these two places?
Yeah. So Hong Kong is kind of, when we focus on the denim business, we have retail spaces both in Hong Kong. We also had one in at Fashion for Good in Amsterdam, and then we had a retail space in San Francisco. But we've recently changed it a little bit, because now we've started focusing less on the denim. We're still going to sell custom fit jeans, because we have people that absolutely love receiving something that's made to fit them. But for us to really push the needle, like move the envelope, we have now not shifted gears, because this was always the plan, but started commercializing our 3D weaving machines.
Yes, that's very interesting.
Yeah. So how these two fit together is, okay, so if you want to produce on demand, customers want to have the products really, really quickly. So you need to be able to make those goods really quickly. Why are we making things in Southeast Asia and then selling them in Europe or in America? Because the labor cost is too high. That's why industry died. And that's why most of the clothing production these days is happening in Southeast Asia or the global south. So what can we do to bring production back to the US or back to Europe is we need to automate a part of the process so that you can produce clothing with less labor.
And closer to the customer.
Closer to the customer. It also needs to be, still needs to be fast. So take all of those things that I just said and like mash them into one. And the proposal that our founders came up with was, let's do 3D weaving, because 3D knitting already exists, but wovens is a category that hasn't been innovated in ages. So sewing machine hasn't been innovated in the last 200 years. Weaving is still done on a flat loom. So like you just explained, either hand loom. Now we have these air jet looms. So it makes a roll of fabric that's flat. Then it gets sent to the cutting room. The pattern pieces get cut out. All of those little pieces in between that's not going to be used gets thrown out. If the factory is good, it gets recycled. There are a lot of factories that do in-house recycling. Then it gets sent to the facility, it gets sewn, gets packed, it gets shipped. So it's long, it's lengthy, it's wasteful, this is the status quo. With 3D weaving, what we can do is basically go from yarn into finished garments. So we're combining the weaving and the sewing and the cutting stage. There are still a couple of steps that need to happen. Like we can't add the buttons and the zippers and like if you want to have fancy pockets, those steps will still get done after the weaving.
Yep.
But just think of all the steps in between that we are compressing. So by compressing and automating, going from yarn to semi-finished garment in like 20 minutes, you're able to do this onshore, nearshore in a micro factory. So that's the vision, that we can produce onshore and nearshore wherever, close to the consumer. Local for local is what it's called. Super efficiently, cleanly, because these machines, they are way more energy efficient. They work really, really quickly. And it's kind of like we want to balance that profitability with sustainability. Because when I can talk to an everyday consumer, and like my pitch or like my passion is always about like, we need to produce less, like sustainability is the way, impact, etc. But that doesn't work when you're speaking to like a brand or a manufacturer that has stakeholders. Maybe they're a listed company, they still need to show growth. So we need to also then be cost effective
Yeah.
and efficient. So we kind of had to combine all of those things and build this super cool technology that's hopefully gonna change the fashion manufacturing industry.
It's a very cool approach. One of the questions that I wrote down in one of these pages was, how do you convince an industry to start producing less?
Yeah.
Because this is the case in which really the output needs to be lower. Companies by law, they are mandated to generate value. That means cash value for their shareholders.
Yeah.
So those two things collide. So how do you create value? You create value by changing the way things are done.
Yeah.
And when I think the prefix micro excites me a lot all the time, because I all of the micro solutions that normally, let's say, should be actually maybe translated into localized. I did my thesis in the university about micro aeolic installations. So instead of having,
I don't know what that is.
So windmills for electric generation. So windmill like the one in Lama, instead of having big ones in parks that then you have to distribute to the network and then take it to cities, which a consequent loss in power at least of 20% from what it gets generated to what arrives to the consumer. If you have imagined something smaller in your building that takes care of that, then you don't even need to pay for the electricity bill. You can it's like a solar panel, but uses modes with wind. The philosophy is the same. Try to do things closer and try to benefit. Now, these micro factories, now you said you're going to sell the technology, or are you going to, let's say, you plan on owning some of these micro factories?
Yeah, so, because we're also a business. Damn it, why? So currently, the business model, the idea for the business model is that we are going to license this technology, because we are, as far as I know, the first people to do this, to attempt 3D weaving for apparel in the way that we're doing it. So obviously there's a lot of like IP protection. That's why when you look online, it's all like animation and it's like a little bit mysterious, and you're like, wait, what are they really doing?
I mean,
the reason is because like I can't film like what the machine is doing, just because it's patented and IP protected for as long as we can, right?
Yeah.
So the idea is that we will license these machines to manufacturers, but with brands. So it's kind of like you have a union, like a threesome, if you will. The brand, the manufacturer, and then Unspun. Because the manufacturer is not going to spend money and resources to get this machine if the brand doesn't say, hey, I want you to make these products using Unspun's machine. So the main target for us, or like we started working with brands. So we first approach the brand. We sign, like it's called an offtake agreement. We sign offtake agreements with the brands, and then the manufacturers will be like, okay, hey, there's like a contract in place here, so it's guaranteed business for me. I'm going to be the manufacturer. I'm going to pilot this in my facility. Okay. So that's kind of how it works in the realm of innovation. I know it's not only for us, we're inventing like a hardware technology, but also for companies that are working on like biomaterials, materials that are made from algae, like seaweed, carbon capture materials, etc. Like these are like, you need the commitment from the brand and the retailer to really make it to scale it.
Yes, yes. Just a question about the industry, because I don't know how it works. Normally, you have imagined the brand, the company. Let's go with the Levi's, because it seems
you love Levi's, don't you?
No, it seems like I'm promoting them, but now I'm gonna be.
you're doing something
I'm gonna
wrong.
be a hateful customer. No, so secret. All of my jeans are Levi's.
So you love them? Yeah?
No, I'm used to them because I discover my size. And you said something correct before. It's very difficult to find jeans that fit you, and I found that Levi's 5'10" and 5'11", I have 36, 34 is my size, and if I stick to that, I'm kind of happy. So that's why I go to Levi's. But then I have some problems that I will deliver at the end of the video. See how the hook works? Hopefully the one person that gets to this point will watch 10 more minutes.
Levi's.
No.
Actually, one of our advisors, Jonathan Chung, he used to be the head designer of Levi's. Yeah, he's pretty cool. Dude.
Look, nothing against them. Only just one thing. Let's stay up to later. Do brands own manufacturing plants? How is the chain of ownership, or do they outsource everything?
Some are vertically integrated, but not for all of their products. If you think about like a super big retailer, say like H&M, they're so big, they operate everywhere in the world. How can they be operating at a retail level? They also have their investment branch and innovation branches, and they have like different. H&M doesn't only own H&M, they also own and other stories, they own cars, they own Monkey, I think. Yeah, maybe. Anyway, so they're operating a retail model, so they can't survive without their suppliers. And so they have relations with their manufacturers. As far as I know, maybe they own a couple of factories, but not all of them. So there is still that, like, the buyer, the manufacturer, and then the customer, if you will.
That's pretty cool. So, and at what stage are we in the unrolling of this
3D weaving?
3D weaving,
Yeah.
Vera technology.
Vega.
Vega.
I don't know, it's because you're
Vera.
Spanish, maybe the G. There's also
It's a G?
It's a G.
Yeah,
Ooh.
no, I thought it was an R. I wrote
It's
it
okay,
down.
you only slept 2 hours.
Yeah, oh my God.
Yeah, so it's really exciting because, also what happens is when you're an innovator, you can't always, like, you're talking to multiple brands at the same time, but once you sign a contract, like, there needs to be an official announcement, so you can't talk about it. But last week, finally now I can talk about it in public, but we just announced a partnership with a project with Walmart.
It was my next question.
Yes. So Walmart is our first big, everyone knows Walmart. They're one of the largest retailers in the world. So this is really good for us because they are based in America. There's also a lot of legislation in the US right now that's incentivizing companies to bring production back onshore, near shore in the US. Walmart, as one of the world's biggest retailers and American company, is obviously highly incentivized to do that. And it was also something that they should look at. So, yeah, they have signed on to a collaboration.
So how does it work? Are they going to have micro factories inside their facilities?
So Walmart doesn't. Walmart's facilities are as retail.
Yep.
So we will still need to partner with their manufacturers to deploy these machines in and around North America. So, and this is like long term. Tech takes a long time to get deployed.
So in Walmart, you will have the retail experience. You go there, you have your body scan, someone support you, and then you order through them.
This is the future dream. So remember just now when I was saying, okay, so we started with the denim brand and then we have this hardware technology. What we've done with the denim brand and the custom fit technology is over the last 5 years while we've been building this hardware, we were like, okay, let's use that time to get like super good at making custom fit patterns from software. But companies, retailers, brands are not yet ready to take the custom fit step. Yes, there's a problem with overproduction. Yes, there's a problem with returns, but it's like, let's first solve the overproduction problem. And we can solve the overproduction problem by producing in lower quantities onshore, near shore. But the custom fit element is not yet there. It's something that Unspun is going to keep building and we're going to keep pushing. But for Walmart specifically, Walmart and probably the first couple of customers that we are going to have using 3D weaving, we're going to produce in sizes.
Okay.
Yeah. But because it's local, it's going to be local, so it can be operated in a more efficient inventory model. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, and actually, I think it's sound. You need to do things in steps. Otherwise, you risk of breaking the toy, and then it's purposeless.
Yes,
no,
it's slowly like scratching.
It's how to say. unnerving sometimes to do marginal gain processes, but that is the only sure way to get there.
You asked me how like a industry changes. So obviously there, like we have like brands and innovators. We want to like knock down the doors. You have advocacy groups, individuals, thought leaders that like kind of stand up and say to the industry to change. But I think that if there's not policy and legislation in place, if it's like not coming from leadership, it's not mandated by government, things are going to move very slowly. And I did want to mention that in both EU and America, there are very progressive policies being put into place, especially in Europe, specifically on unsold inventory. It's going to make... It's already been... I think it's already adopted in France, and I think within the next maybe by the end of this year, it's going to be adopted in EU. It's called extended producer responsibility, where brands and companies that sell good need to take responsibility for their unsold inventory. So there's going to be like disclosures. They're going to be incentivized to produce less because the waste is just so crazy.
Yeah, it's very bad looks.
Yeah.
And hopefully, normally I give crap to the younger generation, except on one thing. I believe they can change the way supply is done if they change demand is produced, because, and I'm hopeful. I remember a long time ago when I was talking to a client from Australia, and she said, my kid, he just became 18, and I offer him to buy a car, and he said he refused because he said, why should you just buy a new one when I can get a second hand? And I'm like, okay, these people are onto something. That's the right approach. Yeah. So I'm really hopeful for that, because I think it's just good manners, just good approach to life.
I mean, they're hearing a bunch of like scary stories, like, climate change, the world is going to be uninhabitable. I can imagine like being a young kid right now and seeing all of the negativity. And not that the world has always been perfect, like there's always negative things going on, but now it's different from like a trade war or a actual war. It's like the nature and the world.
Yeah, that's a totally different topic. No, I think the outcome is good. I think, let's say, if the result is that people start consuming more consciously, I'm cool. I just think that sometimes this new generation is being fed information that is too sensationalistic, and let's say, I don't think there is going to be a climatic disaster. Climate is changing. Climate will continue on changing, but there is not going to be an apocalypse. I worry about demographic change and violence and wars and everything. But despite the difference in origin of our common conviction, I think it's good if we sit down around the table and say, okay, we just need to be a little bit more responsible and just stop throwing shit away.
Yeah, totally. Because I mean, never mind climate change, for example, the desert in Accra in Ghana.
Yeah.
What's happening now is it's the clothes, as they degrade, all of the dyes that's been used in them are polluting the waterways, and it's making the people sick. So
yeah, that is crazy.
Yes, we can talk about climate change or not climate change, but the fact of the matter is, it's
with that. With that, you have me 100%. And on this regard, there was something that one of your founders, the lady, what's her name? Yes, Beth. She wrote something on your Instagram page, which was, it went on the lines of, and now I'm quoting:
sustainable fashion does more harm than good.
Thank you very much. Can you please, to wrap up, touch a little bit on this, because I love when we get to the bottom of things. Sometimes people that are well intended, they do things without having, let's say, second layer, third layer thought process, and maybe because it's cool they say, okay, I remember one of the examples was, I only buy one thing after I get rid of one. And I'm like, yeah, but you're just kind of like incentivating, even generating more waste, for example.
Moral licensing. Sorry, I'm just checking because I know the text, the headline of the article, but I need to refresh on. It's just opens up the whole debacle about greenwashing and people saying that something is more sustainable, but what does sustainability mean, right?
Yeah.
Like especially in the fashion industry, which is another thing that's going to be like brands are getting in trouble for giving false or misleading statements to the consumers. Anyways, and I think the article that Beth it was an opinion piece in The Business of Fashion by Beth Espinette. So the point that she's trying to make is also kind of for this overproduction, because now people will say, okay, so this t-shirt is using recycled polyester, therefore it's better, but you're still making 50,000 of them. Sure. And at the end of the day, you're only going to sell 70% of it, so that 30% still ends up as waste. So it's just like that whole idea of you think you're doing something good when you're not doing something good.
Yeah, I'm gonna say something that I hope, and I really hope the person in charge doesn't listen to it. But
who's the person in charge?
No, I have because I have I really shouldn't say this, but anyway, fuck it. I have this friend. He has a company that produces certain type of products that you actually know, and I think you actually have in your house.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and so he upcycles materials that normally would go to waste, and that part of the message is quite okay. The problem is that in order to make an object, you need to use 50 to 70, 80% of resin. Binder, which is resin, which is like fuel derivative.
Yeah.
And that's extremely energy intensive and extremely pollutant. And with that, you create useful objects. Useless objects that just fill up the cardboards of people. And as much as when I started, I did a small collaboration with this person, and I love him to death. But I had a big problem after the fact, because it's like, yeah, but I don't see the point of having a useless tray that you can, I don't know, what would you use it for? Just to say that you're using recycled whatever.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh, so complicated. But this is where, like, I don't know, would it be better if these were functional items?
Yes.
Yeah.
You need to make, in my opinion, you need to do things only if they're functional, if they help something. And I work in design. I work for a company that produces high-end lighting, and the only reason why I kind of sleep okay is because I know that my products are expensive enough for people to buy them only every so long. It's like a very expensive shirt. Yeah. If you buy one, it's gonna be with you for 20 years, because
and
otherwise
you're not producing like 50,000 pieces.
I mean, my boss would be very happy, but just the world doesn't work that way. Good. Who is behind Unspun?
Unspun. So, well, Beth Espinette. She's our chief visionary co-founder. So we have 3 founders. It's Beth, Kevin, and then Walden. Mm-hmm. So I think Walden and Beth, they met at Stanford. Yeah, they were both doing some course there. But anyway, so both of them had experience in the fashion industry. Beth was a product designer. She was also a professor, and then she was working for a company where they were they had a meeting, and they were talking about like what are they going to do with all like the unsold tents that they had. So that's also, it's not fashion but textile related. And they were going to trash it. And then she had her like eureka moment, like what is going on here? Like we can't produce in that way. And then Walden also has a background in he's our CEO. So he has a background in strategy and consulting, more like a business edge. Yep. So he was working for Lululemon, and I think he was he can also see like all of the inventory that they are stuck with at the end of a season. And for someone like Lululemon, which, you know, their products are pretty stretchy, they're also pretty evergreen. Like, why should a company that does yoga wear have that much unsold inventory? Anyway, I'm sure that they've handled it now. I don't know what's going on at their business, but yeah. And then they were like, okay, so we have this idea, we want to produce on demand, we also want to do it custom, and we also want to do like weaving with like one thread, and we also want to think about the circularity. So like all these ideas merge into one, and they were like, okay, well, we need an engineer. So then they got the third founder, Kevin, and yeah, he was the engineer. So then he became the CTO, now COO, and from there it's just like, it's been, I think, 7 years, and like now it's finally starting to really take shape, and it's very exciting because I think we are so aligned with like a moment where the world is at right now, and other people, consumers, the brands, the legislators starting to realize that this issue is huge. And now it's like, okay, we've known that a couple of years ago, so we've had time to kind of think about all these things, and now we can just preach and hope to build a better supply chain.
All right.
So
Kevin, Walden, and Beth.
Yeah.
Kudos to you. Also kudos to you because you have an amazing ambassador, Annika Visser. I wrote an intro that I kind of did. I said, you're a cool woman with a cool name. You're a friend, an amazing DJ, and then you also do a lot of sustainable stuff.
Yes.
So thank you for coming. I enjoyed the conversation.
Thanks, Fernando.
Keep on doing amazing stuff, so we can make a third conversation.
Yes.
And for the rest of you, I hope you learned something. I honestly, I hope there are some takeaways, because these are the type of things that with an everyday life, maybe people don't have the time to read into it. So if we get some views and some people learn something about it, we made the day. Yes. We made the day. Thank you, Annika.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the weekend. Ciao, ciao. Subscribe. Tell your friends. Be happy.
Like and subscribe.
Ciao, 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 ciao.